after kicking the press out of the White House and essentially shutting the White House down for a period of time, Donald Trump has surfaced and he's announced that he has signed the bill into law to release the Epstein files. Now, Donald Trump posted a message on social media saying he signed the law to release the Epstein files. Reading between the lines, you see where the cover-up is going to be, as it is likely the Department of Justice is going to invoke national security exemptions and ongoing investigation exemptions to avoid releasing files. And it seems that the DOJ will just kind of cherry pick documents to release and try to drag this out as long as possible. But Donald Trump has announced that he has signed the bill to release the Epstein files into law. Now, in the message that Donald Trump posted, which is a long and rambling and ranting and raving paragraph, he claims it was always his idea to release the Epstein files. He says that he instructed Mike Johnson and Senator Thune to support the discharge petition, that the discharge petition was basically Donald Trump's idea from the very beginning. And then Donald Trump proceeds to attack Democrats and say the real people who need to worry about the Epstein files are my political opponents. That's who is going to be exposed. Okay, Donald, look, in the emails from the Epstein estate, those 23,000 emails with over 2,300 email threads, your name appeared in over 1,600 of the threads. It may as well be called the Trump Epstein emails at that point. So we know your name is all over these files. And so when those don't get produced, we're going to be very much aware what is going down. But let me just read for you briefly what Donald Trump posted. He goes, Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to Democrat politicians, and was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures such as Bill Clinton, who traveled on his plane 26 times, Larry Summers, who just resigned from many boards, sleazebag political activist Reid Hoffman, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who asked Epstein to donate to his campaign after Epstein was charged. That's not true. Democratic Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and many more. Perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their speaker and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed, because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. As everyone knows, I asked the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and Senate Majority Leader Thune to pass the bill in the House and the Senate respectively. Because of this request, the votes were almost unanimous in favor of the passage. At my direction, the Department of Justice has already turned over close to 50,000 pages of documents to Congress. Do not forget, the Biden administration did not turn over a single file or page related to Democrat Epstein, nor did they ever even speak about him. Democrats have used the Epstein issue, which affects them far more than the Republican Party, in order to try to distract from our amazing victories, including, he goes and says, defeating inflation, lowering prices, biggest tax cuts. Well, you didn't defeat inflation. Prices are not lower. And you go on and you keep attacking Democrats this, Democrats that. You were like his best friend. You were his best friend. He hung out in Mar-a-Lago all the time. He had his photo with you was prominently displayed in his home. You said he was a great guy who likes women on the younger side. He recruited for a sex trafficking ring at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, the extensive ties that you and Epstein have are overwhelming. And you notice that he says, I released 50,000 pages. Mostly all of those pages have been released for many, many, many years. More than 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And they're just duplicates of what you produce. So you can say the number 50,000 because you think it's a large number, but all that stuff has been out there before. What was new was the Epstein emails, which you did not produce, which the estate of Jeffrey Epstein produced. And you're all over that in some of the most disgusting and grotesque ways. So you see from his email what the plan is. The plan is to basically say, we produced the 50,000 already, and then go after Democrats and make this an issue against Democrats versus just release the files. There's there's terabytes and terabytes of documents here. Release it, make it searchable. We, the people, will read it. Whether you're a Democrat, an independent, a Republican, someone who's not affiliated with political parties, someone from another country, doesn't matter. We deserve the files. We'll look through them and we'll make the determination. That's it. That's simple. But when you put out a statement like that, you're already choreographing what you intend to do here, which is to not maintain the integrity of this. It was notable. Donald Trump's Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche was just on Fox moments ago. I bet you can get which specific topic didn't come up during the interview for some reason. Yep, Epstein was not discussed. Think about it. You have the deputy AG who interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell before she was transferred to a minimum security facility where she's now getting VIP treatment. You got Todd Blanche there and you don't bring up Epstein? Really? Really? Meanwhile, earlier in the day, before Donald Trump's statement, you had the Department of Justice further telegraph the cover-up that's about to take place. So when Pam Bondi was asked about what activity is taking place out of the SDNY, because you'll recall Donald Trump ordered an investigation into Democrats only relating to the Epstein files and the connections with Epstein's sex trafficking ring. Watch how Pam Bondi responds. Play this clip.
The issue with the new information that you just indicated is the department seeking information perhaps from the Epstein estate, because Mr. Blanche did not have that information when he interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell. What new information? And would you limit the new investigation to just those named persons that the president talked about, or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X, and we're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York. You're on point.
Right, as John Collins writes, they think we're stupid. They think we're stupid. I can't comment on that. It's an ongoing investigation, right? That's what she's going to state when she goes before the House and the Senate and she's asked about it. I can't say anything. It's an ongoing investigation. I can't say anything. It's an ongoing investigation. Here's what she also said in that press conference about, will these files be released in the next 30 days? Here, play this clip.
Madam Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information new information, additional information. And again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward. And we will continue to provide maximum transparency under the law.
Now, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, has been making the rounds on various shows. One of the things that Mark Epstein said to News Nation before Donald Trump signed the bill to release the Epstein files into law is that one of the reasons that they're going to release these things is because there's a whole office working in Virginia right now to sanitize and potentially even delete files that Trump doesn't want out there. Here's what he said. Play this clip.
What I do want to talk about is I've been recently told the reason they're going to be releasing these things and the reason for the flip is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it. That's what I was told by a pretty good source.
Epstein's brother then talks about how Jeffrey and Trump would fly on each other's planes. And he believes far more than 7 times. He's like, you should get Trump's plane logged because Epstein was on that plane a ton of times is what his brother said. Play this clip.
No, not whatsoever. Jeff and Donald were very good friends through the 90s. And I don't know exactly when it ended, maybe 2004 or something, but they were really good friends. You know, they used to fly in each other's planes. But I've said, they say Donald was on Jeff's plane like 7 times. But I question, have they checked Donald's flight logs from those days to see how many times Jeffrey was on his plane? Because I know Jeffrey told me on a number of occasions that he flew up or flew down with Donald on his plane. So they were, and Donald was in Jeffrey's office quite a bit back in the 90s. They were good friends. Everybody around knew that.
Epstein then talks about some of the calls with his brother. Play this clip.
So he said, I haven't spoken to him in many, many years, Mark. And then he said in the same year, I haven't spoken to him in probably 15 years or more. That was in 2019. But you say your brother talked to you about a conversation he had very close to this time in 2016 with Trump?
Yeah, after the election, I used to speak to Jeffrey regularly, and one of the calls he spoke, Jeffrey told me that it was after the election that Trump called him, and it was sort of like, can you believe this? Because nobody believed Trump was going to win. Trump was sort of surprised himself that he won. So Jeffrey said he called him like, could you believe this type of a phone call?
So Trump called your brother?
Yes, that's what Jeffrey told me. Yes.
Epstein talks about Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein. Mark Epstein talks about his brother and Steve Bannon's conversation. So Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein's talks with each other. Here, play this clip.
All right, I have a couple questions for you about this, Mark. But first, this. You say that your brother told you something very different about their falling out than what Trump says?
Well, it's not that he told me. Steve Bannon was doing interviews with Jeffrey and taping them. And Jeffrey had sent me a Dropbox link to one of those interview sessions. And on that tape, Jeffrey clearly stated that he stopped hanging out with Trump when he realized Trump was a crook. That's a direct quote from Jeffrey. He stopped hanging out with Trump when he realized Trump was a crook.
Then Mark Epstein to News Nation talked about in 2016 what Jeffrey told him. Here, play this clip.
Jeffrey, in 2016, I said this publicly before, Jeffrey told me that if he said what he knew about the candidates, they'd have to cancel the election. He didn't tell me what he knew, but Jeffrey definitely had dirt on Trump. And you could see in the emails, Trump could deny it all he wants, but it's pretty clear. I mean, everything Trump says is a lie.
But that's not what you were talking about.
It's provable that he was in Jeffrey's office. He said he wasn't in the house. It's provable he was there. He said everything he says is a lie.
I find all of those clips pretty intriguing, pretty interesting. You tell me what you think right there. Meanwhile, here's how Stephen Miller responded earlier when he was asked about the Epstein files. Play this clip.
Is the president signing the Epstein files bill, and is it at his desk already?
So any questions about that? I have nothing to add to today. I think the White House comm shop's already answered all those questions. Yes.
Can you tell us the latest on whether the Trump administration...
Here's what Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie said about what's going to happen if the DOJ tries to invoke the fact that there are investigations currently pending and that's why they're not going to release the files. Play this clip.
Well, Congressman Massie, Attorney General Pam Bondi repeatedly said today that she would follow the law when it comes to releasing the Epstein files. Do you believe that means the Justice Department will release all of the Epstein files within 30 days?
They're eventually going to have to. Look, there is an exception for ongoing investigations, but you can't have 2 or 3 ongoing investigations and claim that you're not going to release any of the Epstein files, because our bill, the law that she says she's going to follow, says that the exceptions for ongoing investigations have to be narrowly tailored to the investigation. They would have to jeopardize the investigation, and they can only be temporary. So she doesn't have carte blanche to withhold a whole tranche of files. And I heard her say tens of thousands or 30,000 documents have been released. We're not counting by the number of documents that have been released. We're counting by the number of perpetrators who have been indicted.
Congressman.
And California Governor Newsom had this message for Donald Trump. Good night, little piggy. Good night, little piggy. There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.